Hi, I'm Amy and welcome to my channel. I'm a manifestation and relationship mentor, and this channel is all about merging spirituality and psychology so that you can manifest your dream relationships. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about how you know that a pattern has stopped. How do you know when a pattern is history? I have got a self-study course at the moment, which I will link in the description box. At the moment, it does come with a free 1-hour Zoom call. But let's dive in. So, subconscious patterns, as we've discussed all this week, are a big thing when it comes to manifesting. And the issue with subconscious patterns are we're not always aware of them, but when we do become aware of them, we want to know what to do, which I mentioned in the last video, but we also want to know when this pattern's gone. How do we know that the pattern's been broken? So the first sign that a pattern has been broken is that it just does not show up for you anymore. And if that is the case, great. You don't need to worry about it. It's gone. You've done the work. You've broke the pattern. Things are different now, and that's amazing. But what if a pattern is still showing up? How do you know that you're progressing? How do you know that you're actually breaking the pattern? Well, a couple of things happen. The first thing that happens is that you automatically respond differently. So with any subconscious pattern at all, let's say, for example, that you are a coffee drinker in the morning, but you change your mind and say, right, I want to drink tea every morning from now on. Now, that's going to take some time for you to actually get used to that, where you haven't got to think about it. So you're not thinking, okay, I'm going to put the tea bag into the cup, I'm going to put the sugar in the hot water. There is going to be a period of time where you do have to consciously think about it, but before long, it will become autopilot, so you haven't got to think about it. That's what you automatically do in the morning. And that's the same with any pattern. When you can automatically respond differently, you know that you're breaking the pattern. So let's say, for example, you did have a fear that your SP or whoever was going to run off with a third party. And let's say the old subconscious pattern was to snoop on social media, was to check the phone, was to look on different platforms to see how other people had resolved this problem. But now you don't do those things. Now you are aware that you have a fear of a third party, but you're not looking on social media, you're not looking at the phone, you're not scrolling. The idea comes into your head and then goes straight back out. If you're in that place, again, great. You are stopping that pattern because you've stopped the behaviours that go along with it. You've stopped the behaviours which were feeding that pattern in the first place. And sometimes patterns break with one fell swoop and they're gone. But I know from my own personal experience, as I mentioned in my last video, we had a huge pattern around conflict in my relationship. And that did take some time to break because there was a lot that was feeding into it. There were a lot of triggers around it. And it did take a while to break. However, I always saw improvement. So if that pattern's still showing up for you now, but you are seeing improvement, that again is an amazing sign that you are breaking this subconscious pattern. So what happens if the pattern's still showing up, you're still reacting in exactly the same way and you can't seem to stop it? First of all, I want you to remind yourself that this is okay. It's okay that you're still reacting to it. It doesn't feel like a choice right now, but you're still feeling so desperate for this situation to stop. And what I would suggest when it is like this is that there are probably a lot of triggers around this pattern that need to be investigated. And even if you can just focus on bite-sized things. So let's say, for example, you have a fear of abandonment and you've got all of these patterns around this fear of abandonment. The first stage is to become aware of what your patterns are and focus on breaking one at a time. There is no rush here. There isn't a race. Your desire isn't going to run away with somebody else. Break one at a time and remind yourself when patterns do come up for you that this is progress, because a lot of my clients tend to panic when an old pattern comes up. They panic and think, oh, I don't really know what to do. I don't want this pattern here, because they think they're going backwards because the same thing's happening again. But really, when a subconscious pattern comes up and is externalized into your experience, you should look at this as progress because it's coming up for you to see it and to let go of it. You are always making progress. The ball is always rolling. And the reason why it's coming up now is so that you can release it, because it doesn't belong in your desired relationship. And I've fallen victim to this as well, where I've thought, oh my God, we're having another argument. This is never going to end. But I had to start looking at it as, oh, good, this is progress. How can I respond differently this time? What can I do to actually let this pattern go? What was the trigger behind this pattern so I can heal it? Because when you can look at it as progress, you're not going to feel so down. You're not going to feel so defeated, because you're thinking you're going backwards when you're not. And it's okay that even though you've acted differently, even though you've responded differently, the same thoughts are still there. That is absolutely okay. Just intercept the thoughts when you can. So let's say, for example, you had an argument with somebody and now you feel rejected, and the feelings of rejection are coming up, the thoughts of rejection are coming up. We need to start to intercept those thoughts and remind ourselves that it's not like that now, that these are just old thoughts that come up with a certain trigger, and this is the pattern just playing out. I don't need to respond to these. I don't need to act from this pattern anymore. And the more that you can do that, and the more you can see evidence in the outside world that it's working, you will build more confidence, and these thoughts will become quieter and quieter and quieter over time until they don't exist anymore, and your desired reality becomes normal to you. So I hope you found that video helpful. If you need any help, drop a comment below and I will do my best to answer it, but I will see you in the next video.